All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get this first webinar kicked off. Thanks everyone for participating and being interested in hearing about workforce development and educational opportunities around the Mid-Atlantic region for offshore wind development. This is the first in a several-part webinar series that we're still scheduling out. But Marco is very pleased to welcome Sherwood Taylor, who's the Senior Director for Workforce Development at Atlantic Cape Community College in New Jersey. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm assuming everyone can see my screen, so if you can't, just give me a thumbs down, but thank you. So I just want to give a really quick background on Marco for any of you who may not be familiar with us. We're a Mid-Atlantic Regional Ocean Partnership. We're formed by the governors of New York, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland back in 2009. And Marco addresses shared regional priorities and provide a collective voice for a healthy ocean ecosystem and advancement of renewable energies, and specifically offshore wind. You can visit us at midatlanticocean.org to find out more about the different work groups that we have put together and convene. Our main goal is to facilitate interagency coordination across states and other relevant federal agencies on a number of topics, and we'll go into all of them. We do also host the Mid-Atlantic Ocean Data Portal that has over 5,000 map layers of different information provided throughout the Mid-Atlantic coastal zone and offshore region. And we also act as a resource of information on water quality, offshore wind transmission, navigation and safety, marine habitat, and climate change, adaptation, and resilience issues around the region. And specifically, Marco's Offshore Wind Regional Collaborative Work Group, which is the work group that is sponsoring this webinar series. Our main goals are to provide that interagency coordination, public outreach, and education on a number of topics around offshore wind, most focused on transmission. We are a forum for information sharing, and we also contribute information to the Mid-Atlantic Ocean Data Portal. So for more information on offshore wind regional, offshore OWRC, Offshore Wind Regional Collaborative Work Group, we do have a page specific on the Marco website. And if you are interested in our next webinar, which is going to be on October 12th at noon, which is going to be given by Jessica Deely from NYSERDA in New York. The QR code here, you can scan it with your phone and register for that. Otherwise, as we send out the recording from this webinar today, we'll include a registration link for the next webinar, and you can also find that on our website as well. So I am going to stop sharing my screen and pass it over to Sherwood Taylor for today's webinar. And please do feel free to put questions in the chat, and I will get to them at the end. Thank you.
Can you see the PowerPoint just to make sure?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Great. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me. I hope the information helps, and hopefully we can have a little conversation about this. So my name is Sherwood Taylor. I'm the Senior Director for Workforce Development here at Atlantic Cape Community College. Just to give you an idea of what that means, in most colleges, and especially in a community college, we have academic programs, and then we have all of the other things. I'm all of the other things. So I do all of the things that would be considered short-term training. I do a lot of grant programs for special populations. And then the Wind Training Center, when offshore wind came out that we wanted to get into that market, I also took that under the workforce development area. So just to level set a little bit, back in 2021 or late 2020, New Jersey wanted to have a competition to establish a offshore wind training center. They called it the Offshore Wind Training Center Challenge. And that grant competition was really designed with NJEDA, and OSHI was involved, to really give New Jersey the opportunity to have its first premier basic safety training facility. So we did respond to that challenge. We wrote a proposal. Usually when we receive grant funding, we say we were awarded, but since it was a challenge, we like to say we won. So we did build that facility, which I'll show you a picture of that in a second. They gave us for that challenge $3 million to get that wind training center up and running. So here is an artist's rendition of the center. This picture that you're looking at is actually built, and we are using it. So in Atlantic City, if you're familiar, we have a campus called the Worthington Atlantic City campus. It's on the corner of Arctic Avenue and New York Avenue. And that piece that you see there that says the Wind Training Center kind of butts out from the campus. That was an addition that we added on to the campus. It's about, it's 1,700 square feet, and the height of it is about 40 to 41 feet because of the equipment that is inside, which you'll see in a second. So primarily in this room, we house what we call the working at height structure, which is where under the basic safety training, which I'll give you an outline of that, working at heights is really the foundation for that training. So you are looking at like a picture of the working at height structure where the participants, they're actually called delegates when they come through the training, where those participants are actually taught safety. It is a safety program, basic safety training. That is the function. We are not teaching any specific wind-related skill, but safety. And then when they go to work for a wind developer or an employer, that employer then layers on top of what we have taught them their particular and company protocols. So this structure that you're looking at teaches them how to climb ladders, teaches them how to exit platforms. You'll see the one all the way on the right. The yellow indicates things that they can tie onto. So we teach them all of those things in this facility. And this is just another version of that same facility. The previous picture was the right-hand side. This is the left-hand side. And all the way on the end, if you see that blue, that kind of curved piece, that's where we teach them how to escape or descend from a tight hatch type environment. So that's what that structure is used for. This is a picture of one of my instructors who is demonstrating how to descend a ladder with a coworker who has been immobilized in some way. They've been injured. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the brackets, and there's a black image. That's actually a full-sized weighted body of a person that they are taught to actually descend down. So that is what she's demonstrating on that structure with all that equipment on. And she is wearing the equipment that the students would wear as well. So they're fully rigged up so that they are ready when they go to work for an employer. They understand the basics of tying on, descending from equipment, and those basic protocols that they really need. So that is the structure that we have up and running. It's built. The working at height structure is there. And let me just talk to you about the GWO. So currently, we are credentialed to offer what is known as onshore basic safety training. We do not have our sea survival piece developed yet. That has taken a little longer than we had anticipated, but we do not have that yet. So we did receive our credential in November of 22, November 22nd of 23, and that's a 2-year process. So we have that until November of 25, but they do come back every year. So they're coming back to do what they call our surveillance audit, to come in midway and check to see how things are. So the training that we're offering now is onshore. So anyone who is not going on the water, this credential or this training would be sufficient for them. It's 28 hours. It takes 4 days. We teach first aid. We teach manual handling, and that's just what it sounds like, how to lift heavy boxes, how to use lifts, those types of things. We teach fire awareness. So we have 2 phases to our fire awareness training. We teach what we call escape, which we have a container that has like walls built in it, and we put in safety smoke, and the students are taught how to escape from a smoke-filled environment. And then we have the regular fire training, and we do that with virtual reality. So we don't use real fire for that. We do have a really intense virtual reality program that's used to train them on their fire awareness. And then the structure that I showed you previously, and the one that you see in the photographs there to your left, are the working at height structure. So that's Cindy, and you can get a better picture of her descending with that mannequin there. And then in the bottom photograph, my other instructor is propelling from that escape hatch with his safety equipment. So currently, as you can see, that program costs about $1935, and that's a breakout. We are listed on the GWO site as a qualified and certified training provider for this particular training. So what else are we doing for offshore wind and renewable energy as far as training is concerned? So the next piece I'm going to talk to you about is something that we have proposed to the New Jersey Council of County Colleges through a program called New Jersey Pathways. And we're expecting any day now to be awarded this. So through some research and going to the conferences and talking to wind developers, we came up with this particular package. So we're calling this Workforce Plus. A Workforce Plus series will always include a credit and a non-credit program offering that will allow students to either come in, take one of those programs, or all 3. You need to take all 3 to get the series certificate from the college, but you can independently take those programs if you want. And we are using a system called Creedly to issue digital badges for folks for their resume and their job hunting, or using it on LinkedIn, whatever they feel appropriate. So the first course under this that we're developing is called Foundations for Renewable Energy. So that will be what we call a traditional credit course, carrying, don't quote me, but I think the development is going to be about 3 credits. You can see it's going to talk about renewable energy technologies, impacts on sustainability. A traditional course, it will most likely live in our environmental science area. And part of the requirement for getting funding for this course, we had to embed a credential. So we're embedding this level 1 supply chain credential, because supply chain is huge in, as you probably already know, in this offshore wind and renewable energy field. So we're embedding that in that particular credit programming. Then the other 2 that we're going to have available, the next one is called Foundations for Project Management, and it will go through the foundations for people of managing fundamentals, scope and scheduling, resources and communication, the generic things, the standard things that you need if you're talking about project management. We are embedding in that course the Certified Associate in Project Management, which is through the Project Management Institute. So that would be a stepping stone to someone who wanted to go further down the road and then get their PMI when they get their credentials. So this will be a 12-week hybrid program. So it will be majority taught online with some classroom sessions or live instruction. And then when we design this program, we will design it so that it will carry credit. We call it crosswalking. It will be, if the person wants to come back and get a technical studies degree, it would go across and count as maybe their electives or a program course in that degree. And then the next one in that series we're designing is called Foundations for Supply Chain Management in Offshore Wind. So it will be a traditional supply chain management course, but the examples and the case studies and the projects will be focused on offshore wind to give the participants that, that focus for that emerging industry that we're going to have. Again, they'll review supply chain management, forecasting and planning, how to deal with customers, relationship management, and obviously technology. We are going to embed, as part of the requirement in this course, the Certified Supply Chain Professional, and that's through the Association for Supply Chain Management. We will embed that into this course as well. Hopefully I'm not talking too fast. So the importance of offshore wind and renewable energy training in community college. So what do we see as the importance? From our standpoint, and from my other colleagues, all of our programs usually take on a lot of this. We, especially in my program, we are industry driven in workforce development. Most community colleges in the state are that way. If there's not a need, if people aren't hiring for it, we are probably not offering it. Because one of the measures that we usually have is, are your students getting jobs? Are you training them, and are they getting jobs? So we do play that pivotal role in training people, usually in short term. Again, I have a paramedic program, which takes 18 months. That's my longest running program. So we do have that short term to the longer term program to get people out into those industry specific, those trainings. And when we talk about specialized training, the workforce development divisions and community colleges in general, we really have a long history of being able to specialize and really pivoting. There's requirements for academic degree programs. It takes a little while to get those programs. If an employer or an industry shows up and we need to pivot and get something up and running, we could probably do that relatively quickly. So we do focus on those specialized programs. And again, if there's no industry demand, if there's no, usually needs a credential of some kind, your community college is probably not offering it as a career option. And that will be the same for us for WIN. That's why the previous programs that I showed you, that came from having conversations with wind developers. What do you need people who are coming into industry to have? We need them to understand renewable energy. We need them to understand supply chain, and we need them to have some type of understanding of project management. Whether they're a project manager or not, they need to understand some of those basic foundational elements of those particular areas. The other thing that's really important for us and for workforce development folks is how we collaborate with industry. It's very difficult in a lot of cases for one company to go to another company and say, well, how are you training your people? Because there's a competition there. We're kind of the great neutralizer, right? We can go to 3 companies and say, well, how are you doing this? And what is it you're looking for? And then mesh those together to make sure that our training meets the industry standard of the employers. In a lot of cases, for example, in our wind training, we have different harnesses and brackets, all of the same quality level, but different brands, because we have learned and have researched that a lot of the wind developers use different brands. So the students will have at least seen the different brands, and they vary slightly, but for the most part, they meet a standard. So this collaboration that we have with industry, it's really easy for the senior director of workforce development to pick up the phone and call an employer and say, what are you looking for? And we can get that information and then blend it into the training that we do. A lot of people forget that community colleges and workforce development divisions in particular, we are part of the economic engine. We are helping people get their credentials, go out and get a living, a sustainable wage, which really flows back into the economy. So we do, those things are important for us, and we do those as community colleges. And we are promoting that clean energy initiative when we offer these classes. We have no political stance on it. We know that employers are telling us in our service area that we need people to have this credential and this credential, and we answer those calls because that is part of our mandate as a community college to help promote the industry that is coming in. And when we talk about, the final thing is when we talk about building trust in the community, what does that mean for us? So, and I'll just say here, well, let me go into this. So one of the things we did last year was through a grant through the New Jersey Pathways, which is part of the New Jersey Council of County Colleges, we received funding a prior year to develop the things that you see on the screen. And then last year we piloted them. This is one of the biggest things for us in wind for building trust in our service area. I'm speaking for Atlantic Cape because for Atlantic and Cape May County, because that's my service area. Most of our folks do not see themselves in the wind industry because they don't see jobs that they can go and apply for tomorrow. It's not like hospitality. It's not like healthcare. You can go on any website and find, in some cases, hundreds of jobs in those fields. This industry is emerging, right? The jobs are here, some of them, but they're coming. So they're emerging. So how do we build the trust of the community when we say, hey, you got to get ready for this? And the best way to do that is to show people where they can be in that industry. And that's career exploration. That's what we do. So this development that we have done, the first part that you see there, we developed some modules for high schools to use. It's called the Offshore Wind Awareness Experience. It was developed by our Cape May Tech educators. They developed something called the Follow the Photon game, which takes kind of on the science of renewable energy and wind and how it works. And then they developed something called Preparing for a Career, which expands that career exploration for them a little bit more. And then they did something they developed, which is called Beach Town USA, a town hall debate, where the students take either side of offshore wind, the pro or the con, do the research, and then they do a debate in a town hall forum. So any of you folks that are connected with high schools, this curriculum is been paid for, it's been developed, and it's free. We can get you access to it if your schools want to use it, and then adopt it for their schools. So these 3 modules were developed by educators for other educators to blend into pretty much any curriculum, into a science course, into an English course, to help writing across curriculum. So they were done. The other thing that was great was, again, offshore wind is new. Science isn't new, but specifically offshore wind is new. So part of the development was the educator that developed these did train the trainer for the high schools. So 3 high schools participated in this. It was Atlantic City High School, it was Gateway Technical School, and Cape May Regional Tech. And the educator from Cape May Tech did a train the trainer, actually brought their instructors together. It was virtual, but walked through these individual processes for these courses and said, this is what we were thinking when we developed this. This is how you do it. And the schools actually received funding through the grant to buy the equipment and to pay their instructors to learn it. So that program turned out really, really well. We also developed through that grant something called Exploration in Wind Energy Careers. It's a 3-hour, let's start the conversation about what type of careers are there. What participants learn is it's not a job you can get in a lot of cases without some additional training, right? That's what we're doing. We're trying to expose people, get their interest in the industry so that they know and they prepare to go into that industry in some fashion. And then we expanded on that exploration in wind energy careers with something we call Career Exploration for Wind Energy, a virtual experience. So we took the 3-hour course, embedded it into this 12 hours, added the additional 9 hours, and the additional 9 hours were spent with a little more bringing in people who are actually working in the field and having those external conversations with people to find out what their career trajectory was, what kind of education they had, and using virtual reality, the students experienced something called a day in the life, which is a day in the life of a wind turbine technician through the virtual reality goggles. And that's been very successful to help people get a sense of what it means. A lot of folks don't realize if you want to be a wind technician, depending on where you work, you may work 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. You may have to live out on a flotel out in the water. It just depends on where you're working and how that particular wind turbine, farm, they're called, is designed. So building trust with the community, Sherwood Taylor's version is obviously information and career exploration. We can't tell them who's hiring and when. That will be posted. But we can, as educators and community members, get them ready by giving them the exploration that they need to see if this is a job that they want. And when I say exploration, I'm not just talking about being a wind turbine tech or being the captain of a boat. We're talking about marketing. We're talking about public relations. We're talking about all of those things because all of those types of jobs are going to be available in that industry. So it's another industry for some specialized careers, as we know, but for some of the traditional careers that we're also used to. How else do we build trust? So as I mentioned, and just to point out again, in my department, we have a continuum of training, right? I have an adult basic education program. I go all the way up through paramedic science, and we have wind. If someone comes to us and they're not ready for the GWO basic safety training or anything, we always can refer them and put them in a program to get them where they need to be. So it's affordable. In a lot of cases, the programs that we offer, somebody else's money. You can get money through your Workforce Development Board. There may be particular grants at your community college that you can get. There may be grants and funding for special populations that will help pay. So that is one of the reasons why whenever something new comes up, we start to get the call first. We get the call from the community, or they stop in. We heard about this wind thing. What training is there? What jobs are there? They come to us because they have depended on us for that for years and years and years. We talked about the workforce development. We are job specific, so we can hone in on the things that are going to be needed and needed sooner rather than later, or be able to say, because we've learned from the developers and the people who will do the hiring, what you need. That's why that program that I mentioned earlier on, we're going to be making available to people the project management and the supply chain. So we have those things as well. Pathways, again, everything in my department that we do at a career level, we try to make sure that it is not a one-off for the student. Yes, they get the training they need, they get the credential that they need, and they go to work. A year later, they decide, I think I want to go back to school because I see a future here and I want to get education. We want that training that they had with us to have some value. We want that training that they had with us to have them come back to us to say, you mentioned something about this being part of that degree. What's that about? And that happens. Not everybody's ready for a degree to start off, but we want them to have that connection and to know when you're ready, you're already a couple of steps ahead. So that's that whole educational pathway that we can help provide. Being in the community, we are out at community events. We have on both of our campuses directors who engage in the community that are aware of our programs. So the word is there for people that they understand what is coming. And one of the biggest things for us, we have a diverse student population. When people come to our campuses and they're in classes, everybody currently I believe the number is there are 41 languages spoken in our ESL programs here. 41. That's the diversity. And that is part of building trust because they know they're welcome here and they will come to us. We have folks come to us for just about everything, especially their training. So we highly value that reputation and that really awesome responsibility that we have to the community. And I think that was my last slide. Hopefully you have lots and lots of questions.
Well, Sherwood, I just want to start by saying that every time I had a question, you answered it with
Okay.
your next sentence. And I got a couple of text messages from other folks on the call saying the same thing. Oh, he already answered my question. I feel like from a Marco perspective, and you know, Marco's mission is to kind of share, one of our missions is to share the information. And I feel like you just gave us one of the most complete webinars I've ever been a part of. So I want to thank you for that. This information is invaluable. And I know I speak for some of Marco's management board that also happened to be on the call and say, we had no idea that your program was so comprehensive. I got so I have two questions right now, or one is a statement and one is a question. The first one is that Christy Mazzio Fortner from New York Department of State and myself, actually, we're interested in sharing that curriculum that you talked about for high school students. I think that's a great resource, and would love to talk to you some more about how Marco can help make that a little bit more available and known about. Ryan Green from Virginia, who's also a Marco Management Board member, just said count Virginia in for that as well. So I think that's a great place to start. We would love to be able to share that curriculum. All
So
right.
hopefully I did not misspeak, but I'm going to check. So my understanding is, and I did forget that there are people here from other states, but I'm going to find out about sharing it outside of the state. I don't know if that's something, I would assume that that's something they would do, but I will forward that request along and find out.
That would be great, and I'm happy to serve as the middle person there to send that information to everyone else as well.
I will contact the person that I deal with and ask her, and then I can connect her with you to see how that would be helpful.
That would be great. I'm gonna write down all of the names of people that are interested in having that shared as well. So the first question I have specifically are courses and training offered in different languages to accommodate diverse students?
So our courses are not, and that is not, so our courses are not offered in different languages. And the reason for that is most of our employers want English to be the primary language that they speak to communicate with their students. We do have, not in WIN, because we're just starting with WIN. That doesn't mean if we learn that, you know, in that field, they need people in this job to speak this language, that we would not do that. But primarily, all of our courses are taught in English.
Thank you. Next one is a comment and question. Thank you for a great presentation. Do you know what, if any, other community and technical colleges in the Mid-Atlantic have similar programs?
I'm not aware. Mid-Atlantic, so I'm trying to think. I do know some. Yeah, I'm not aware of all of them. I do know Rowan College of South Jersey, which is in New Jersey, right up the road from me. They received a grant to do the wind turbine tech. So they have that type of program. And I think they're trying to help make that into part of a degree. But I do know in New Jersey, because we have this awesome ability to get money for development, and anybody on this call that works in, the community college or a college sector, usually development is one of the things that we can't get money for. So we are lucky, and me personally, as a leader in this area, I take advantage of it. So we're going to do that.
Well, Marco looks forward to helping promote your programs as well. I think these are really great. It's very eye-opening and refreshing to me to know that there are these programs that are out there, even though a lot of them are still in the planning phase. You're right, we need to be looking forward to the future. So the next question in the chat is a comment. I've been on so many wind webinars, and this was such a refreshing and new, interesting wind related topic to learn about. So thank you for sharing. And I echo that sentiment. Then I have another comment that Emma would like to also have the ability to share the curriculum as well. So I think that's, Emma, you're please email me directly. I'll put my email in the chat, and make sure that you're on the list to receive information about that. Another, I'm interested in the curriculum. Brian Green from Virginia asked if we're going to be able to share the slides from this webinar. If you're willing to share the slides, I'd be very happy to.
I have them. I have a PDF file already ready to send to you. So, I mean, I could actually put it in the chat if that's something that we could. Is that something that can be done?
I think you go ahead and try. I think you should be able to. You're a co-host of the meeting, and I can also make sure that it gets circulated around with.
Okay, I'll email it to you, and then you can send it out. That'll be make sure it gets there.
That would be great. And then Isabella from New York says that Stony Brook is offering an offshore wind management course online as well. So that's really exciting to hear that there are all of these programs
Yes.
that are coming online. And then I just had two really quick questions to see if you had a timeline of when the offshore wind supply chain management program would be available. I think you said it's still in the planning stages.
Well, so when I say plan, we so New Jersey Pathways, we submitted. I did my pitch session. I'm waiting to get the letter to say we're going to give you the money to develop it. So it's
fingers crossed.
Yeah. So it would be early. It would be sometime mid the first quarter, like the end of the first quarter of 2025 by the time we actually developed it.
That's actually just around the corner.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It doesn't, we get busy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next comment is please come back to tell us about it. And I think that, we will keep this on the OWRC work plan for the coming years.
Sure. That would be great.
It would be great to hear more. And then my last question, is so post certificate completion or graduation, do you also have like a path for like placement, work, like job placement with developers?
So our GWO basic safety training, the thing that people have to realize is you cannot get a job with just that credential. You must bring something else with you. So you either have to be a carpenter, an electrician, a metal worker. So the majority of the folks that we've had and will have are what we call incumbent workers. They are people who have that skill set that they're going to use in the wind industry, but have to have this safety training in order to even be considered.
Got it.
So they will be sending folks to us. So it's a reverse from what we normally think in workforce training, where we train people, and that really has changed over the last 5 or 6 years for us, where we put up a program, we train people, and then we go knock on doors to get them jobs. It's the other way around now. We're actually, even in healthcare, we're actually getting employers saying, I have these people that are valuable, I need to upskill them. Apprenticeships are very big for us. So it's kind of the opposite. So the training I described, most of those people will be coming from employers to get that training.
Wow, that is definitely a new model in the training,
Yeah, it is.
Training and development aspect of any industry. So unless there are any more questions, which the chat's been a little bit quiet for a few minutes. Another thank you for a great presentation. Another thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, one more. Christy just got it in. Does that work do well due to trusted? Does that work also do well due to trusted positions, due to your trusted position in the community?
Meaning the reverse training?
I think so. I think that the reverse training. Yeah. Or
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because,
that's
yes,
what I
okay,
meant.
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, it does, because, you know, people will come to, what we do is we tell folks, again, we will take a person, so, and I'll just use this because this is up and running, our medical assistant training program. We run it twice a year, maybe 30 to 36 students. 34 of them are employed by a healthcare provider already. And they come to us because they're part of an apprenticeship model that we do. If someone comes in off the street to pay for it, we immediately contact that employer to say, we've got someone who's taking this program. You might want to interview them to see if they'll work for you because they need them so badly. So I hopefully that answered your question. We kind of do it both ways. If we do get people off the street, we immediately connect them with an employer.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. And thank everyone for joining today. This presentation again was recorded, so I will send out an email to everyone that even just registered, and they'll be able to access it through the Marco website in a few days once it gets up there. So Sherwood, thank you so much. I will
Thank you for having me.
yeah, definitely be in contact and hopefully be able to share
Yeah,
beyond
keep in touch.
New Jersey.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.